Hello. I'm Cade Thomas, and welcome to Double Feature Movie Club. We will be talking about the films Lights Out and The Witch today, full horror show we have here. And we are here, joined today by Diane and Kenna. How you guys doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing good. How are you, Diane? Can you hear us? Oh, no. Diane, can you hear us?
No.
Can you hear us, Diane? We'll see. I don't know.
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear us now? Okay.
Yes.
Good, perfect. Good. I mean, it was off to a rocky
I was
start
still
there.
kind of rocking out to the music there. So.
Oh, okay. That's what I like to hear. You like the music? Think the music's fun?
I love it. It takes me straight back to high school.
Good. Yeah, it was. It's supposed to be a little bit kind of drive-in movies. It's kind of taken directly from like a defunct drive-in theater. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I was going to talk to you guys specifically, Diane, because I know she likes these movies. Last weekend, and I've been wanting to mention this. I saw Moonfall in theaters.
Man!
Yeah. And because I was like, I better watch it because I think it's about to go out of theaters. There was barely any showings of it, and it's something. It's something. We're not going to spoil it here because that's not our movies to discuss. But it is a bizarre movie. I mean, it's I don't just so you know. I mean, so you watch it. I mean, it's kind of to clue you in. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for Moonfall, but it's about the moon.
No
falling.
idea what we're talking about.
The moon's gonna fall. Onto the.
I have nightmares about that all the time.
Mm-hmm. So the moon's gonna
Really?
fall.
It's
And-
disaster movie. How can you go wrong?
And it's
Just destroy stuff.
and it's Roland Emmerich. So it is. I mean, it's the guy. The guy came to do this, and I mean, he's the guy. He did. He's done pretty much all of the ones, and I think it's interesting because like it goes out there, like it goes there's the big question is why is the moon falling, and its reason for that is it's pure sci-fi and it's amazing, so I highly recommend watching that.
Okay, on a scale from 2012 to the day after.
That's a perfect scale, by the way.
I know.
Because because I
Where does it fall?
Because I have to say I think The Day After Tomorrow is Roland Emmerich's worst movie. I don't
Worst.
I don't like that movie. Because it's not really I don't know, people getting cold, and I mean it's like I don't know. I don't like it. And it's very contained. It's really much more about like those wolves. It's about being scared of these wolves going to attack you. And I don't know. People say Godzilla's his worst. I haven't revisited Godzilla in a while. His Godzilla.
I would say Godzilla was his worst.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in recent enough to sort of know if that's the case. But 2012, I love Independence Day. Independence Day is my favorite of his, but 2012 is great. I think it doesn't reach the levels of 2012. It's not that great, but it certainly has its moments. But I think it's doing well until it kind of fumbles the very 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 end, and it like wants to be a franchise, and it's like, no, don't do that. You're not getting that.
You don't get to destroy the world over and over and over again. You only get one shot.
Yeah, I know. And that's the sad state of reality, is that we have to sort of set them up just in case this does well. And it's like, oh no, it was fine other than that. And I wish if he would have like just did an actual ending to it, it would have been a lot higher. But Halle Berry's in it, and she does good, and Patrick Wilson does good, and it's insane where it goes. I won't give anything away there, but yeah,
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, so how's your guys' day been in general?
Cold.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't gone outside today. I've been inside
Yeah.
all day, which is not my favorite kind of day.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will be see where we're at. It's pretty it's rainy. If that was not clear from what Kenna said, so hopefully this will be a cure for the what do they call it? The rainy blues. Is that what they call it? I'll call
Rainy
it that.
day blues.
Rainy day blues. Cure for the rainy day blues.
Yeah. We'll make an album dropping next month.
Yeah.
New podcast.
New podcast, yeah, where we only drop new episodes
Rainy day blues
on when it's rainy days.
on rainy days.
Yeah. I think that's a good
And
concept.
Mondays always get me down.
Yeah.
Still, even in retirement.
Yeah.
That's a Carpenter song.
That's a genuine
Rainy days
question.
and Mondays always get me down. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this episode is mostly a horror movie night, as people say. How do you guys feel about horror movies?
I hate
'em.
horror movies.
I was
hate
not
them.
pleased last week when we drew.
So not a fan of horror movies at all.
I'm
No.
just grateful that my assignment was not a slasher movie. There were no chainsaws involved, which
True.
would have been like, I would have quit.
Well,
Yeah, I hate whenever they're gory on top of trying to be scary. Like I can't do the
Yeah.
ones with a lot of like blood, and I can't. It's not a fan of that.
So what do you have like a favorite horror like type or movie or subgenre of horror at all, or you just no to it all? I'll go to Kenna first.
Oh, sorry, I was already going. So I love.
I'm trying to
I don't
entangle
know,
myself.
I love psychological thrillers, which I don't know if they're really a subgenre of horror, but I do like the ones that kind of mess with your head more, less kind of gruesome stuff.
What's an example of that you like?
So I love Shutter Island. I really like stuff by M. Night, like stuff that kind of twists at the end, and you're like, oh man, like you couldn't figure it out the whole time, or you could, but it was still an interesting ride.
Yeah. I mean, there's some whatever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe The Witch. We'll talk a little bit about that, about where it is and sort of thing. It's a little psychological thriller, but I don't know. I like Silence of the Lambs. People call it the psychological thriller or horror. It kind of blurs some of that genres a little bit. It's more of a character piece. I've always thought of the characters that are there than anything else, which is why I like it a lot.
Yeah.
The Shining.
Anything that, I mean, you know what? I haven't seen The Shining.
Oh, well, you
which
need
is
to.
Crazy, because it's sitting right here on my shelf. Like I have it, I just haven't watched it. I feel like I haven't been in the right headspace, especially since I had to watch 2 horror films this past week. Now I won't be in it. Oh, nice.
Yeah. This is a 4K version of The Shining. But
fancy.
I love The Shining so much. It's definitely the top
I'll watch it.
for that. I mean, you're gonna have to book out some time. It's a lengthy movie, and you have to be in sort of the right headspace for it. But it's really good. Diane, what's your take on horror? What's your favorite? What's your
I am more of the, I think Supernatural, Twilight Zone was a big favorite when I was a kid. I was just looking up the name of one of these movies that I absolutely love from Peele.
Oh, Jordan Peele? What are we talking about?
Yes.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I liked both of
He's
his
great.
films that I've seen. Now, I have not watched his new Twilight Zone, but I'd probably enjoy that. I like Black Mirror. You know, some people would consider that horror, but it's more along the lines of I don't even want to call it psychological thriller.
They're almost like social commentaries.
Yeah, social commentary. That'd be good. Yeah, but with a twist. And the original Twilight Zone was like that.
Yeah.
It was like a social commentary with a twist to make you think. Ray Bradbury, I don't know if you guys have read any of like his short stories. That's kind of my take on it.
I never liked Ray Bradbury's books.
I have a collection of his short stories that you might enjoy because they're not long.
Maybe.
They're short.
They always hit too close to home. Like I was always like, this is a possibility. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like, this just makes me anxious.
It's happening now. Yeah.
We have a comment from someone who said Blood Simple, the only scary movie that they ever liked. Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever saw Blood Simple. It was the Coen brothers' first film that they made.
Oh man, Coen brothers messed with my head too, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Which I've always really liked how they do different genres, that they're not like I always drawn to filmmakers like that don't do like Kubrick, who don't do the same genre every time and like and can kind of do different things, and it's always fascinating to see those type of directors with their different takes on different genres. I like I've started really slowly liking horror, and I like a lot of different aspects of it. From like Your Shining, but then Silence of the Lambs, my favorite movie. But I like a lot of old Universal horror. I'm a huge fan of like the of Frankenstein and Dracula and all of the Invisible Man, Wolfman. All those are really fascinating and really interesting films, and that sort of started me down the path of really liking a lot of them. And they're not scary. I must say I'm not. What I like about horror is not so much the scary parts of them. I like really what they're trying to say, or their mood, or their just the feeling of them a lot more than I like the actual scares. I'm a huge fan of the Scream franchise, and they're more comedy almost than scary, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy for modern. I really like the modern horror. I think we're in a really good spot with modern horror. A24 does a lot of different things, which we watched The Witch, which was an A24 horror film. But
one of the other ones was too, wasn't it last week? Robert Pattinson's one.
Yes, I believe.
Good Time. Yeah, A24 as well.
And so a lot of our films that we are actually going to be drawing from are other A24 films. I believe Hereditary and Midsummer, which I have over here, are both A24, or at least one of them is. So yeah,
A24 picks up a lot of movies at Sundance and Toronto and places like that for distribution.
Yeah,
they
they
hit that indie.
Yeah, they're very indie, and they're very interesting. I loved. I don't know if you ever watched. I recommended it to you guys. I think I have it.
I listen. What's her name? I listen. I can't remember what her name. How you say her name? Ellison. The lady who owns it. Her brother is a big tech guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You should check her out. It's like her and her brother are like complete opposites and work against their dad. I mean, there's a whole story just about the ownership of A24.
Huh.
I know.
I never knew that.
Yeah. This is why. Yeah, this is what makes a good trivia player. Lots of useless facts.
Diane, Kenna, and I are in a trivia team together, along with Andrew, who you may know. So
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our feature presentation, as we like to say around here, and we'll come back and we'll talk about our first feature, which is the movie. What's it called?
Lights Out.
Lights Out, of course. Lights Out. And also, it might be important to note, just in case it's any new viewers or whatever, these are movies that we had never seen before this week. So these are movies that are on our list that, we wanted to see or whatever, and they're interesting films, and we just had never checked them out. So this is our first time viewing it as well. So kind of interesting. I don't know if that's interesting to you, but it's interesting to me. So I'm going to jump in to our review of Lights Out after our little graphic here.
Oh boy, Lights Out. Okay, so this movie follows a family. I don't know where they are, but essentially, the mother, as we find out, struggles with some mental health issues that kind of brings dark forces after her family, and it was a really scary movie. I had a hard time watching it.
Great. Is that your okay? Great. And also,
that's as far as I can go with that.
I too caught up on my social media during that movie.
Yeah.
And also if you guys have any comments, we will take any comments and respond to them at the end of this thing. I should mention that at the top. So yeah, or throughout it, whatever. If you have anything to say, we will spotlight them and talk about them. If you have any questions about this or anything else. But yeah, so well, first off,
or anything else,
or
any questions,
any question, we'll take
life.
We'll take any questions. Yeah, how we know each other, might be fascinating, or anything, or just because it's kind of a fun story. But we can't tell that unless asked. So,
True.
But anyways, so first off. Did you guys like this movie? Did you? I mean, like, just on a general thing.
Okay, do you know what movie it kept reminding me of?
I have a few, but it reminds me a lot of The Conjuring.
Okay, it reminds me of The Babadook.
Okay, Babadook's a better movie than this movie. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. No,
Yeah.
I like it, but it's kind of a similar thing where we're tied to the mother's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of drives like the horror aspect.
Yeah.
There was no dog in this one, but
the Hereditary is a much better movie about sort of familial possible, mental health things. Much better movie. I hate to sort of class. I don't like sort of saying a movie's not great, but it's I don't know if it deserves all the hype that it gets, but it's good, I guess. So I mean, what do you think, Diane? What was your sort of first reactions to this movie?
Well, I think the interesting concept to me with both of these movies is that both of them were first-time screenplays.
Yes.
From people that this was their first screenplay ever. And
it was their first director as well.
Feature film.
Just like each of the directors, this is their first one as well.
It was their first one too. So these I thought both of them were good endeavors for first-time films. When you think about all the first-time films that are out there that you've seen, these were both entertaining, and Lights Out maybe a little bit more entertaining for the masses.
Yeah.
Maybe not the critics, but the masses. My favorite line is, if mom's crazy, does that mean we're crazy too?
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite line.
Yeah.
Because I thought, this is setting up for a sequel, but it really wasn't. But,
well, it could be. I mean,
they are making a sequel to Lights Out, aren't they?
Yeah.
I saw that it got the green light.
Announced, but I don't. It hasn't had much anything announced about it more. But yeah, it did get greenlit.
Yeah,
Well,
it seemed
that
like
makes
people were
sense.
kind of like, "Where's it at? We knew it was coming. Where is it now?"
Also, this continues our trend of Diana movies. Our opening film have something, Princess Diana from last week, and then now the ghost Diana. So.
Oh yeah,
Well,
each week.
We also have a tie-in to the Twilight movies too. Can you tell us what that is, Cade?
I cannot tell what it is.
Oh, I can't believe you don't know. Tell us, Kenna.
Oh.
The dad at the very beginning plays Bella's dad in.
Oh. I thought I would have recognized
in the
him.
Twilight.
Really? He's mustached guy.
He also plays Alex on Gilmore Girls. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Speaking
of,
he
did have a mustache in that movie, so hard to recognize.
Yeah, I know him from Twilight. He has the mustache.
Yeah, right.
And
So
then
he's
this one,
basically undercover now that he shaved it off.
yeah, I would not have, that's
No
noticeably the
idea.
thing that I think that's what Superman needs is a mustache that he pulls off and on, because I wouldn't, I guess, maybe
All you
tell the
think of
difference.
when you think of Bella's dad in Twilight is mustache.
His
You're
mustache.
like, oh yeah, the mustache.
Mustache guy.
Just a mustache.
They could have replaced
Not even a guy,
actors
just a
every time. Yeah. Could have just been an empty frame with a mustache floating around.
The actress that plays the daughter in this, the actress's name is Teresa. She's also in this series on Sundance, I think, or AMC, that's about witches. So there's some tie in there, a little overlap.
Yeah. I thought she did a pretty good job for what the character was. It was kind of, it's an interesting character, but I thought she did a good job with what she was given. I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I couldn't decide about the acting. Like, I don't know. I want to say that the acting was good, and it was the script that sort of felt like, oh god.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm not a fan of this type of horror. This sort of studio, James Wan produced. Probably should have named it first, but these sort of like Warner Brothers does a lot of these. The Conjuring, I've seen though, and I'm like, I feel like they have a line that they can't cross. They're PG-13. They're very much like trying to be glossy with like lighting, and everything just sort of seems staged, and they have like seemingly like these checklists that they all have to do, and it's like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of them, and they have some sort of bare bones theme that they're like, okay, here's what it's going to be about, and it's like it never really deals too deeply into it, and it's never like I like my horror to have some sort of edges to them, or like it's rough, or like scenes can kind of go on for some time, or like things, it's like you don't really know what's going to happen. But all these movies seem like this is a studio film, it's going to have this sort of 3-act structure, and it's going to do these things, then it's going to hit all these beats, and so it's I think the idea is it's supposed to be comforting because we know what's going to happen, but I don't like my horror to be that way. I want it to sort of
be comforting.
Yeah, I want it to me to not know where I'm going with this, or not the film to just to be like, okay, you're gonna sit back and this is just going to happen to you, and it's gonna go in this weird places that you went in, zig and zag in interesting ways, and these films don't do that. And I mean, some people like it; they do very well. They're but not exactly my cup of tea as far as that's concerned. Do we want to go into the backstory? It's one of these that are these, I don't know, this horror films that are backstory heavy, and it's not so much what's happening there in the moment as much as it's like, okay, and here's opening up case files. This is the story of our ghost. But yeah, go ahead, Diane. You were talking a little bit about what you thought this was going to be, and then what slowly happened. If you want to say that.
You know, initially I thought this is all around the depression or mental illness of the mother, right? That this has manifested itself with this creature called Diana. And it's a manifestation of her mental illness or her depression. And then that morphed into maybe it's a second personality of the mother, like a split personality situation. And then by the end, that was completely blown up too. So the throughput. So what was it?
So
who was Diana?
Well, so
I need to know this.
It would have certainly, I think, been a more interesting story had it had been like unclear, right? It would have been a lot more interesting, I think, but they spelled it out pretty explicitly as to, no, this isn't like just some lady who's crazy, or it's not even like the right way would have been that we don't really know, and there's no real answers as to whether or not these are with the there was hints at the perhaps like these were like imaginary people that even like the children saw, like that was sort of like perhaps the idea that it was dealing with was like, oh, they're also sort of in, have this sort of same thing going on. I don't know. That would have been a much more interesting story, but no, it very clearly says this lady existed. She was killed at this institution, right? By light.
Mm-hmm.
She had some sort of condition where she couldn't be in light.
Right, she couldn't be in light, but they had like strapped her into a chair for some kind of like experimental procedure, and then they like fried her.
So, by the way, spoilers. I don't know if you guys care about the audience cares about this thing. We're going to spoil this movie for you. So they which begs into question why. How did she exist this whole time before this if she can't be in any sort of light? Which I don't I don't know exactly, but then what was the theory behind putting her in a chair and putting light on her?
Listen, we don't in this kind of movie, we don't need an explanation for
we
that.
just need to know this is what caused her to become a monster.
And so
they're just look, she died.
So
which is why now she haunts her mother's mental illness.
But okay, also the question is, so she's attached to the mother because the mother believes. We don't exactly know why she's attached specifically to the mother, or why even.
She got in her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she uses her as like a portal.
Mm-hmm. But like, why isn't she in other people's head?
I don't know. And see, I think that I could see that being
that's the sequel
for a sequel. Like them
Passes
being like,
on.
oh, she got in the sister's head now, or the kid now. He's a dad, and he's
kind of undermines the mother's sacrifice at the end of the movie.
Whole sacrifice. If they decide to go that way, yes, that would be unfortunate.
I don't understand why did Diana feel the need to kill the husbands after, what was it? Little girl was 10 when the first husband was killed. So she waited 10 years to kill the husband. That didn't make any sense. And she leaves the boyfriend, which is a total throwaway character, alive. Didn't you guys all expect
I was
the
surprised.
Very beginning?
Well, so no one died, right? Just the cops. The cops died, and then like the dad
at the very beginning.
Both dads.
Yeah. Bella Swan's dad.
Yeah, there was the two both
before the
dads.
credits rolled.
Yes, so he dies right off the bat. And then we don't meet the other guy.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. If you're gonna watch this movie for Billy Burke, just heads up. Before the credits roll, he's gone. Before the opening,
Yeah, so the research papers.
And then whatever happened to the assistant?
Yeah, she's out of it.
Hey, be careful. And when I watched the trailer, I for some reason was led to believe that those two would play a more crucial role.
Okay, so so this was based on a short film that was on YouTube. I don't know if I was going to tell you guys about this before to watch it, but it was a very popular. It's got millions and millions of views from David F. Sandberg. He is like he's like a YouTuber kind of filmmaker. I really respect the guy a lot because of how he started out in YouTube, and then he's made this jump into film, and he's now done Shazam. He directed Shazam and has done a few. He did one of those, I think one of those Annabelle movies as well. He's done a lot, and he's not this flashy sort of director, but he goes in there and he does these things, and he started off as a YouTube person. He made this short film that was essentially it was like, I think it was like only like 3 minutes or something real short about with that effect where like she appears in the darkness and that with the light and all that, and it was just essentially that and this lady in the room, which was the lady in the beginning of the film, which I believe is his wife. And so that's why I think she got that, is because this is based on that somewhat. But even though the character design's not the same, there's really no storyline as to why this character's doing it. It's just a short film of really showing off the effect. But
Okay then.
yeah. Okay. So what's your? But
All right.
I was just answering that as to why that lady was in the film is.
Gotcha.
I think some sort of thing there. What was your 3 things? Run through them real quick.
I couldn't come up with 3.
Diane, what do you got? Oh, sorry. Did you want to get it? Okay, go ahead.
Right, go ahead. Maybe I'll get an idea from Diane.
Okay, Diane, what do you have? If you just have 2, that's fine.
I have 1.
The only thing I can give you on this one is that it did have some scares. There were a couple of places where I jumped. So for people who do appreciate that aspect of horror, that it did have a couple of jump, parts to it. I liked parts of the screenplay quite a bit. I liked some of the lines in it. For a first time adapted screenplay, it was a pretty good effort, to be honest. And from a directorial perspective, I think the poster art was really something creative.
Yeah, they put a lot. That was in the short film too. This idea of like duct taping the thing. So it's like some of those things were carryovers from that. Yeah.
It's such a strong image. It's cool that they created that. I'll say.
Yes, I think that my number one thing on there was the sort of that effect sells the whole thing. Like that's a concept of like where they're in, the idea that like whatever the whole point can't be in the light. That's the the thing. And so with the shadowing effects, and then they're over there, and then the lights go out, and it's a cool effect. It's a cool effect for horror, and you kind of just wish there was a better thing around it than what ends up.
That was my number 1 thing.
Was what?
The lights, like how they played with the lights throughout.
Yeah, the effects, the way they used
I liked them because they were safe. I liked how, like, creatively, like they have the sign outside the daughter's window that kind of goes on and off, and that creates that tension in that moment when she's seeing the thing on the floor, and
in the warehouse.
The opening scene was one of my 3 as well. That's the only other one I really feel strongly about. I liked
with those spotlights. Yeah, I liked that as well.
That was really cool. The introduction of like the blacklight thing was it was interesting.
It was an interesting concept, but it felt like they picked it up and put it back down real quick.
Yes.
They used it for like 2 seconds, and then it was like, all right, we don't need that anymore. It was like, why did we even bring it up?
It was. It seemed much more like a video game sort of like here's a gadget type like that where the world works differently or some sort of thing that helped. I don't know.
Or somebody's gonna ask about black light, so let's just throw it in here right now so we don't get the question.
Yeah.
This is why it doesn't work.
Why this family has a giant blacklight wand that illuminates an entire room, I have no idea. I mean that was a massive light that they're like, oh, maybe this will work. This lightsaber.
You know what? It was in their Halloween decor, though, Cade. So I think it was part of Halloween.
Okay. Okay, I can see that. I mean, yeah. So, okay. So the dad, the stepdad, the one who gets killed in the beginning of the movie, he's the one that's researching the facility?
Yes. Because he, at the very beginning, gets that envelope from the place. Mm-hmm. And so he's like obviously like onto something, Okay,
so he's trying to piece it together.
Putting this together.
And that's why he gets killed. Okay.
Right.
I'll tell you what I liked. I had a line. You had a line in there. I really liked. There was some interesting kernels of ideas with, I believe, the main girl and then her boyfriend. I think there were some interesting kernels of some things about their relationship, and I really liked the sort of turn of, you can be this way around me, I'm not going to leave. I thought that was a really fascinating thing, that like she was somewhat scared in a lot of ways to have him be around, and that he was going to learn some different things about her, and that she was nervous about how the family would work in that situation where, that he would have feelings about that, and that he sort of was saying that, that I don't know. I found that to be a fascinating sort of arc, and interesting relationship bits at play there.
Well, and how later he does leave
Yeah.
when they're trapped in the basement, and then
comes
she's
back.
like, no, he wouldn't do that, and then he comes back later, and you're like, yes,
Yeah.
police. I don't know what they're gonna do, but yay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was an interesting arc from the perspective that, what is, how do you have a healthy relationship when you have an unhealthy mental illness in your family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The fear of that and being engaged in that.
Yeah. And I in a sort of more A24 horror that would be sort of expounded upon a little bit, and when it sort of be like, okay, there's your character scene and move on to the next thing, and then like, and I don't know, it seems like they had to do it for like they this obligatory thing. It was like I guess we got to do this sort of character stuff, and it's like, no, you do it. You have something really interesting there, and it at times seems like it's working against itself of being like it's like there was something there that in a different movie would have been the movie, and in my opinion should have probably been the movie.
But then it wouldn't be a horror movie.
Well, there's some things like I mean like
True,
there's
the
ways
tone
to
changed.
Yeah, that's true.
You can do both. I mean like Hereditary is a great example of that, and like in I don't know, The Witch, I don't know, is an example of where you can do some themes and which we're going to talk about and
God,
still
The
be
Witch.
so okay, well, I guess, I mean, anything else you guys have? I had Diane as one of my notes, produced by Steve Mnuchin, our former Treasury Secretary.
Of course. I just don't understand why you pick these movies, Cade.
Well, I had never seen him, so in my defense, and I had heard good things about it. Like I had heard good things about The Conjuring as well, and it's not my cup of tea, but I don't want to get angry at somebody for saying that they like it. So there's that. Okay.
All right, rating time.
Kenna, do you want to go? Wait, no, Kenna, don't go first. I don't have your emojis ready. Vamp for a bit, guys, while I get that ready.
You said
Okay, would you go
that-
see the sequel, Kenna?
I don't know. I honestly probably not, to be honest.
No. I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
In fact, if it showed up on my...
interested enough.
Yeah. I didn't care enough about the characters to ever want to see them
I didn't
again.
either. And I kind of feel like it had a concise enough ending that I was like, okay, I accept that and move on.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. I agree. Diane, what would you give the movie?
2 stars.
2 stars. Okay, that's
2
good.
stars.
2 stars. That's on her screen now. Kenna, what would you give the movie?
Also 2 thumbs down.
two thumbs down. That's pretty harsh. Not
2
not
thumbs
just
down.
not just one.
No, 2.
I didn't. I guess I don't know. I feel like I was highly critical of it, but at the end of the day, it was serviceable. It's by far not the worst movie I've ever seen. It had some positives, and it had it was fine. I enjoyed it at the end of the day. So I mean, if you just want to have something to watch, it's a good movie, and that's why I gave it a green bell pepper emoji. It's fine.
Makes sense.
It's fine. I'm not gonna be upset that it's around. But it won't not too not sad, not happy. It's a green bell pepper. It's there.
It won't ruin the dish.
It won't ruin the dish. Doesn't
I don't know
particularly.
about that. You can get too much green bell pepper.
I love green bell pepper, to be honest, in dishes. I really do.
I don't mind it.
Okay, then.
So that's why
That's why.
I give it the green bell pepper emoji, which I think that someone needs to work on the conversion scale between each of these. We're trying to work on that ourselves, but I don't know.
If someone could put that together, someone who's good at that.
Yeah, someone who's good at that between our ratings. But I think it's pretty clear, but there's some science behind it. Okay.
Definitely.
We're going to go to our brief 30-second intermission. So if you got to grab snacks real quick or something, do it real quick, because right after that,
grab your popcorn,
grab your hot
sodas.
Dogs, whatever the thing is. I really like how you all use different grading systems. Yeah, thank you. That's that's very, very intentional. Okay. We're gonna grab your hot dogs, your whatever candy. I don't remember what's all in this thing, and then be back here in 30 seconds for Diane to give a synopsis of the movie The Witch. So here we go. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's intermission time. All these delicious treats are waiting for you at the refreshment stand. Delicious fresh popcorn, ice-cold cola, and candy you know and love. They're all ready for you now, so you won't have to miss any of the feature. Come and get them.
And now, on with the show.
There you go, Diane. Tell us about The Witch.
Thank you, Cade and Kenna. The Witch, which was released in 2016, is set in New England, 1630. And I'm going to read a little bit about this. Upon the threat of banishment from the church, an English farmer leaves his colonial plantation, relocating his wife and 5 children to a remote plot of land at the edge of an ominous forest. So that's the setting for the start of The Witch. This too is a first-time screenplay director debut of Robert Edgars, who is a production designer. He's received several awards for this movie, as well as a breakout award for, I'm going to have to read her name, Anya Taylor, who went on to do The Queen's Gambit and won several awards for that. So this was her breakout performance. And the movie itself, I wish this was at the end of it. I'm going to read this. I wish this had been at the beginning. It would have made the whole thing easier to follow. This film was inspired by many folk tales, fairy tales, and written accounts of historical witchcraft, including journals, diaries, and court records. My advice, if you watch this film, turn on subtitles.
Yeah.
So that you can.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely had to do that.
Saved my life.
I know. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
For authenticity, this Robert Edgars went to Scotland to get these, wonderful actors. Most of them played in the Game of Thrones, but they speak very fast. They're using Puritan language, which is not even close to what you would see in a Jane Austen book. It's that complicated to understand. So most of it was very, very hard to understand. You could definitely get the passion and the terror and the hysteria within the characters from their speaking without understanding their words. But yeah, turn on subtitles. It'll make a huge difference in how your enjoyment of this movie.
It definitely helped.
How was that?
Yes.
Yes.
That was good, Diane.
Thank you.
Is that a real corn dog?
Yeah, I grabbed a corn dog from the concession
You
stand
did
while the intermission was happening.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Did you guys grab anything from the concession stand?
No. It's too far.
Not this time. Yeah.
Great. No, sorry, I had a bit there.
I was going to get a bowl of popcorn, but anyway. So yeah,
True,
I think that the main
popcorn and soda.
concept, the main concept of this movie is the same story we've seen over and over from the Salem witch trials, et cetera, and that's the lore of, witches and how that is manifests itself in the Puritan religion itself, the fear of women, what women can do, and when they're being subjected to servitude and oppression by their fathers, husbands, etc. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah.
I must say, I didn't have. I enjoyed the movie. I didn't have as much notes on this one. I just sort of sit back and enjoyed it. I have my three things, but I feel like I had like a whole thing of just like of different observations with the other one. But this one, I just wholly enjoyed it a lot. What was your opinion on it? Go ahead, Diane.
I think from most of the user reviews and reactions that I saw from it was that most people that enjoyed the movie thought of it as a kind of a slow burn, to a big impactful ending, which it did absolutely have a big impactful ending. A lot of people thought that it was boring because it is very slow paced. At the same time, during that slow pacing, it gives you an opportunity to appreciate the production design and the amount of scenery and that this guy uses to create this ambiance. One of the things that the notes I had is like this uneasy dread that I'm feeling all throughout this movie, because you just know this is going south fast. As soon as the crops started to fail, that this was going to go bad for everybody concerned.
So was it clear? That was the only thing that I had a question about it, like plot wise. By the end of it, it was like, I don't know if it was just something I missed, but was it clear why they left the plantation or whatever it was, their community? It was just some sort of religious disagreement, right? It was some sort of.
Yeah. I just kind of got the impression that it was like the family didn't agree with what was going on in the plantation, and they we're like, well, then, if you're not going to do it our way, then you can leave.
Yeah.
The impression that I have was that the father, William, had done something blasphemous from their religious perspective, keeping in mind that the Puritans were, the reason that they were Puritans was because they felt like at the time that religion wasn't pure, that the Catholic Church and the Church of England had eroded the relationship with God. So they were very strict in their teachings and things that their I hate to call it rules, but tenets of their religion as it related to your relationship with God. So the impression that I got that he had done something blasphemous, that he felt like was right and they felt like was wrong. Now, that would be the sin of pride at that point. Right? So they threw him out. Yeah. Or the fact that he left was prideful.
Yeah.
And then throughout the course of the movie, he becomes more and more hypocritical. I mean, he steals the wife's cup, her silver cup to, buy these farm animals, and he lies about it, and he lets his daughter take the wrath of the mother and all that. So there's a lot of family dynamics in this that were really a big undercurrent with very few lines. Yeah. In reality.
And you just believed, I feel like, all these characters, like they really were just these. I thought the whole family was just very well cast, and they fit the time. They all like looked the part of being in this sort of era, and then then they did the whole. I mean, those lines, my God, were
the ones you could understand.
Yeah. Well, I was just meaning like that, just having to sort of say everything in that sort of cadence.
Oh yeah. I was like, can you imagine having to memorize that script? Like, I would never. I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, different, cast somebody else.
Line.
Yeah.
Just the usage of language at the time, and especially in that Puritan, vocalization, and how their literal, how they did that, and that. I think that gets back to, though, this is a production designer who created a movie and directed one. And production designers are so intent on authenticity
Yeah.
Did I say that word correctly? Yeah. And he went to the ends of the earth to make this authentic. Even if you noticed in the farm, the thatched roofs, those were really thatched roofs.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes straight out of the fairy tale of what a witch's, house would look like. All we really needed was some candy, and we'd had Hansel and Gretel right there. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what did you guys have as everyone? I guess. Well, can I name one of your three?
So excellent acting by the cast. That really pulled you in to the story. I love Anya Taylor-Joy as well. I loved her in Queen's Gambit, and I looked up some stuff about her after watching her in this and found out that it was like her big, kind of introduction to film. And then she was like really disappointed in her performance, and she thought that she felt like she had done it wrong, but I was really impressed. She was 18 when she did this movie, and she was all there the whole time.
Yeah, that's my number one thing is her performance is pretty spectacular. For a while that's what people sort of knew her for was this movie, because that was her first thing, and but now it has become Queen's. I mean, it wasn't like a huge hit, but she was always like, oh, she was the girl in The Witch, but then now everyone says Queen's Gambit or Split. I think a lot of people know her from Split. She was a Split girl.
Oh, I didn't realize she was in Split.
And then she became now she's Queen's Gambit is what most people say, but it's interesting how she continues going to something bigger and bigger, and then and sort of, but she's her performances are always very interesting and very captivating and very like strong decisions. Like, it's not like she ever goes for just like this simplistic sort of way of acting in a scene. It's something very interesting every time. In this, go ahead.
When she's on screen, you're interested in what she has to say. She did Last Night in Soho, and she was the best part of that movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I really think she made that movie, and I've enjoyed that movie quite a bit. She won several awards for her performance in The Witch. Breakout Role Award in like the Toronto Film Festival and others. And she, I think, anyone would say after watching that movie, she was probably the best part of it. Did the woods remind you of the village from M. Night?
Yes.
Woods. That was the first thing I thought when I saw this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's an M. Night.
I definitely thought of it.
Yeah. Take off.
I think like they have a little bit like, so the production design, like it was, I mean, really you just had to construct that town. I mean, like they had a few other shots and everything, but that was your main sort of location, and so everything just within that, and but in like the use of natural lighting, and that it was, you compare that to Lights Out, which is just the most like, let's bring in giant lights and just do all this stuff, very studio looking. This is very very stripped down, very very beautiful though, and very intentional with all of its shots, and the interiors with like it's all being like by candlelight was really cool as well.
Fit and the authenticity of their clothes.
Yeah,
a lot of times you can really tell whenever they're doing a period piece that the undergarments, everything about that is really more modern. If you look close, you can find the zipper. These were truly authentic clothing, and I always appreciate that in a film where they've taken that extra effort, to make it authentic to the period that it's in.
Yeah. So what was one of yours, Diane? One of your three?
The authenticity of it, I think, is part of it. And then I have to say this because no one else is going to, but I love the Ram. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see him take out the twins because those two were psychotic. Both of them.
So on one of my theory,
Black Ram.
Yeah, Black Phillip.
Yeah,
Black Phillip.
I have just the animals in general, and then in particular the Ram. Yeah, I just like all the uses of all the animals in the movie was very very interesting.
A lot of symbiotic, process with the animals. The wild, crazy rabbit that kind of reminded me of a trip to Talahina. You know, that, yeah. And then the ramp. Love the ramp, like Philip.
Yeah. And the fact that he got a kill in the movie was kind of interesting. Yeah,
I was really thrilled with that after what the twins were doing. I mean, they were terrorizing this poor ramp.
Yeah, well, yeah, the twins were very interesting. Like they could have they straddled that line of being like incredibly annoying, but like also very believable. Like this is what these like kids would like. So it's not like I'm not upset at the movie for like being like, oh, these are just annoying characters. Like they're very intentionally irritating, but like not in the way that it like takes you out of the movie. It's like that was well written and well acted characters. Like I really kind of enjoyed how irritating I guess they were.
Well, yeah, and at one point you kind of wonder, are they possessed? I mean, there's so much symbolism in this movie, and you know, were they possessed at this point, or you know, or were they possessed later? I mean, they were part of what convinces Mom that Big Sister's a witch, and how can you give that much credit to 4-year-olds? I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, she was kind of already thinking it. She was wanting any sort of reason to put that on her.
Yeah.
Which goes along the lines of even the Salem witch trials, right? Everyone who turned in women as witches were other women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was her own mother. But it was of course driven by, you know, grief and everything. I mean, that's a fascinating. The mother was a fascinating character.
She was.
I got she was, but didn't you get tired of her hysteria? I mean, I really did.
Yeah, I really did. Yeah.
Well,
she doesn't have a line where she's not crying. But she wanted to slap her.
This was all took place like in like a week. I mean, like it was very, very quick. Yeah. I mean, once they got out.
I wondered about that because, you know, the crops failing, all that would have taken time. So I had the impression that this had to actually be a longer period of time than what.
Well, there's a flash. There's a flash forward from when they leave, of course, to when they're set up at the camp. I don't know if it was all that. We have a comment here. We'll get to it, but I don't know if it was. Was it necessary to have the opening? That was one thing that I was like. I mean, you got other people in it where it wasn't just the characters, but I didn't feel like it really added all that much. It could have just been talked about. I don't know. That was just a weird thing.
I don't know, but if you look at their farm, right, and they had the outbuildings. One of them at the beginning was partially done. By the end, it was complete. So I think that's kind of how he was making time pass, was showing the completion, you know, of their farmstead.
No, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I guess it definitely could have, but I really like the mother character, and since I mean, you know, I don't think anyone in this movie probably is all that, you know, like, you know, these are great, but I enjoy their characterization a lot. We have a comment from somebody here that's saying, I love that the witch I was thinking about titling it with the 2 V's, but decided not to. It's basically an adult children's storybook story.
True.
Yeah. It's well, the subtitle is what a New England fairy, or what's it called? A New England folklore something.
Folklore. Yeah, there's something like that in.
We'll cut to. There it is. A New England folk tale. We cut back to your shot because I knew the poster was on that shot. Yeah. So yeah, it was. So and that's the subtitle in the actual. I mean, that was very intentional. That was the sort of case, is that it's kind of taking these stories, and I don't know. Yeah, it's like much of our things. It's, you know, the witch is the bad guy, and but it's set in this. I don't know. I mean, I'm not particularly that time period's not all that interesting to me, but any good story set in anything is interesting, and I honestly think it was very, very interesting story at the end of the day. Any other of your three? I had this the tone, the vibes, if you will, of this thing. It just kind of had a really good feeling.
Really bad feeling.
Yeah, I bet queasy sense of dread throughout. You just do. They did
a great job creating that through various elements. I mean, they really did an awesome job, but it was incredibly disturbing.
Yeah. Oh my God, that first witch scene with the baby, Jesus.
Oh my!
I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
And I mean, like, you don't really see the witch all that, like, I mean, and then sort of reveal that there's, I guess, a few of them, but, and I don't, that's obviously a choice. And, but yeah, I like the ram a lot. The
ram was good.
Yeah. Did you have any more for your three, Kenna?
No, I don't think so. I liked acting, color, scenery.
Color, I wanted to mention the sort of use of like red was interesting. That like it only popped up a few times, and it was the cloak of the witch, and then the blood, but like it was a very sort of it was colored very, it was time period wise, but it was I don't know what you would say. It wasn't too colorful by any means. It was just kind of desaturated, but
right.
And then, but the red just
but
pierced
that
through.
Added so much. I felt,
yeah, and so that was kind of cool to sort of see that at different points. Wesley also commented the feeling of isolation and almost claustrophobia in a wide open space was unsettling. Yes, that I
agree, Wesley. I had that feeling last week in the movie Diana. Here she is in this massive castle with rooms that you can't even see the ceiling. They're so high, but every hallway was like you were walking into a tunnel, or it was so claustrophobic. And I think, Wesley, you nailed it on this one too. It was claustrophobic, especially when they went into the woods.
Get the sense. Yeah, like you very much get the sense that you can't go beyond the farm, like where they, where they've set up, because then, anything could happen. And then by the end of it, like the forest is coming onto the farm. Like all those things that they were afraid of are now present in their space that was supposed to be like safe.
Yeah, and they didn't there's not really a world outside of that. Like the idea is like these are like first settlers of the area, and it's like not a lot of, so you're sitting in like a little plot of land that's like surrounded by this woods, and it is very, very, very claustrophobic. That is a excellent observation there, Wesley. Okay, so are we going to move into our ratings now? Our ratings?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go Kenna first. What is your rating of this?
My rating is 1 thumb up.
1 thumb up. Doesn't quite get 2.
Not quite.
Mm-hmm. What was the only one that got 2 has been Spencer,
Diana.
Right? Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah.
What I call it, Diana. Yes, Spencer. Spencer got 2 thumbs up.
I must say, I hope that whatever our first feature is for next week is something else that has a character called Diana in it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why.
I'm really hoping for another connection to Twilight.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
There you go. There's 2 things. Because it was both the first feature. So if we need to look on the lookout for another movie that has a Twilight cast member with a character in it named Diana.
Yes.
Okay, Diane, what would you give this movie?
This one I kind of struggled with from the perspective that entertainment versus art. This movie is art, right? Yes. It's intellectual. It's cerebral. It's there's so much symbolism. I could see why people would watch it 2 and 3 times to try to get all of the, tiny elements of it that this guy has thrown into it. At the same time, Jan, I mean, there were moments, it was like, holy cow, how much further can we go on the Okay, so we've learned over the last 30 minutes that little brother is developing, a little taste for the boob.
Yeah.
So that part of it, from an entertainment perspective, just wasn't there at all until the very end when the ram gets his, right?
Yeah.
But
The
from
Ram
a
is
pure,
the anthem.
yeah, he made the movie at the end. But from a pure, enjoyment of the art of filmmaking, I would give it a 4 stars.
It's just that it was just kind of, you kind of had to be in the mood for it. So that's the thing. And I think like this shows sort of the wide, I think there's other probably movies that could show a little bit more of the breadth of the genre, but this shows sort of two ends of the genre, from like one that's, Lights Out, that's meant to be sort of more crowd pleasing. And, it doesn't have, like I said, the edges are sanded off. So it's not like you can really, there's not going to be anything that's like horribly offensive to somebody, or that like, really strives to be something artistically great or anything, but is enjoyable and is straightforward, and people can sort of understand it and get it. And it's, here's scares and everything. It's more conventionally a horror film. Whereas
I would have, that's a 2 cups of popcorn film.
And then The Witch is much more artistic. It has a lot more, there are things that like, it has edges to it that is like, that a bigger studio would be like, no, we're not having the witch kill a baby and do all that
Spread
scene,
it all over her
spread it all over
Yeah.
herself. No, we're not going to, have the whole family massacred and, have the cute little ram kill the father. We're not going to let that happen in our film. And so, but I don't know, I enjoy this type of horror a little bit more, and these type of horror movies. Is it perfect? Is everything that I sort of thought people had talked about it? No, it's not as great as I had heard this movie was, as I had lived up in my mind, but it is still pretty spectacular. And so I give that the smiling devil emoji.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was expecting a witch.
Appropriate.
Yes, there was the option to do the witch as a emoji, but that wouldn't reflect
Well, we
my
like
feelings.
the ram,
Yes.
so
I know.
Yeah,
I
devil.
picked the ram. I would have picked the ram if I could have.
I liked the devil in this as well. I like the ram
Dude,
and
did you see
the
that guy? I looked up the actor. I was like, "Hello, sir."
well, like he was just like in the shadow behind, and he had like a whole
Yeah.
get up. He had like a whole
Yeah.
well,
Well,
he
he
had like
had
a
the voice.
hat,
He did the voice.
and he was like, I don't know, he was kind of a. I don't know. He didn't seem of the time period, right? Or I don't know. He seemed he was
Well, he's the
distracted.
devil. He can
He's
be
the
of
devil.
any time.
He could, I kind of wish he was just like
Exactly.
in like a t-shirt or something. Like really, just throw it off. Like, he's like just totally not in like. Yeah, I think they could have took it a step further if that was intentional. But yeah. Okay. So we're going to head into preview time, as we call it, where we're going to feature our coming attractions for next week. We don't know what the movies are going to be. It's going to be a surprise for everyone involved here. So we're going to do our little musical interlude that we have, and then we'll come back and decide what's next here. Great. I was looking at Diane's dog. We'll be right back.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Okay. So we are deciding what our next films are. Feature 1 and feature 2. Diane, you want to introduce the audience to your dog?
That's Ollie. This is Ollie. Ollie,
Ollie.
can you say hi? This Ollie dog.
Look at that tail go.
Yeah.
Oh, going in the window.
Yeah, he's doing his watchdog thing.
Oh, cute.
Where's
Keeping you
Ollie?
safe.
He's got a job.
Great.
Good.
There we go.
Good. Okay, so we will pick the first feature, which might be Kenna's. We'll see. And then we'll pick the second one. We have 1 out of 20 to choose from. Again. So everyone, you pick your number, Kenna, and then Diane will pick her number, and then we'll see. Hopefully, it's not 2 horror films again. Or
Yep.
we'll have a riot on our hands.
Right from me. I will rebel.
Okay, Kenna, what are you going to decide? 1 through 20. I can also throw to Google if you'd rather it to be completely randomized.
5.
5. Okay. This is interesting.
Okay.
This is fun. We are going to be watching.
Is it horror again?
It was not horror.
Yay.
We're going to be watching The Bling Ring. We're going to be watching The Bling Ring. Bling Ring. Sophia
Okay,
Coppola.
then. Never heard of that.
It's a real life story about these groups of people. Emma Watson's the star of it. I have not seen. None of us have seen these movies before,
beautiful.
and they're stealing from celebrities, I believe. And it's like a real life story, and it's Sophia Coppola directed it. And it's supposed to be good, so
Like
we'll
a
see.
heist?
It's like a heist kind of. It's
film.
kind of a crime film,
Oh,
maybe.
yeah. I
Okay,
remember this.
another crime film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's a crime film, but it's supposed to be fun and I don't know, whatever.
Blingy.
Okay, Diane, what's yours?
I'm going to go with 18.
18. Okay. Well, that's good. This is a good one. This one, I mean, I don't know if it's good. I have not seen these, but I have been wanting to watch this for a while. It's a movie called Bad Words. Bad Words. It's on HBO Max according to my thing I have, but that might not be true. I could probably look that up before I announce that.
What's mine on?
Yours is on, according to my list that was made a bit ago. Again, it says it's on Netflix, but I doubt that both of those are still on those things.
Hopefully.
Oh, I remember this Bad Words.
Yes, it's Jason Bateman. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is on HBO Max.
Perfect.
And then
And Hulu. Yeah.
oh, it's also on Hulu. Okay, good. And then
Of course, I can look real quick and see.
what was the other one? The Bling Ring. I really like Bad Words. Oh, Wesley really likes Bad Words, so that's good. I
Cool. You'll have to tune in next week to talk to us about it.
yes, exactly. Bling Ring's not on Netflix anymore. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news here.
Is anything on Netflix anymore? Jeez.
Oh, it looks like it might be a Showtime. Bling Ring might be a Showtime.
How is there always one Showtime?
There's always one Showtime. So hopefully, we're brought to you by Showtime.
Yeah, really.
So Bling Ring, first one. We'll
If
see.
anyone wants to Venmo me $4 to rent that, I will accept Venmo.
I don't know who's doing this next week. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see who's our co-host then, but we'll know. But our first one, who's it gonna be?
I hope it's me because I want to see both these movies.
Diane, you're only on here for 2 horror films. That's the only.
Oh man, when you know it.
So yeah, that should be fun. That should be fun. So yeah, look up the trailers if those look interesting to you. Watch it. Join along next week for this conversation about that. Those should be really fun. Both of them are, I guess, I don't know. Well, Bad Words is kind of a comedy, and then Bling Ring is, I think, supposed to be fun. So, well, maybe not a comedy per se, but should be 2 fun movies. So that's good. That's good. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add before we close out here?
I think we should research the connections to Twilight
Oh, okay,
for
good.
these two movies,
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as Diana in
Yeah.
there somewhere. Yeah,
That's
Right?
a good point. I kind of forgot that was the thing. I'm sure that
We'll keep our eyes peeled.
we'll keep our eyes peeled for both of those. Yeah, I was going to try to look it up now, but you know what? We'll keep our eyes peeled and hopefully
Makes it more interesting that way.
makes it more interesting. Yeah, we'll have to find some sort of connection.
it'll be 6 degrees of Twilight.
Yeah, separation.
Well, I mean, Emma Watson's the star of the Bling Ring, so I mean, she was Harry Potter with
Right.
with Robert Pattinson was
Rob.
one of those. R Pats.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or pets.
Yeah, great. Well, that's great. I watched Batman over the weekend. We're not going to get into all that, but it was good. Thought I'd mention that whenever our Pats is talked about.
How was the voice?
Voice was good. Voice was solid. It did a lot of things that I've been wanting. Like I'm a big Batman fan. I think I've said it on the record before. I think Batman is the great American character. I think that he is the peak of what we've created here in America. He's very versatile in things. And so, but yeah, I overall enjoyed it. There were some things I had problems with, but it was pretty fun. Okay, great.
Awesome.
Anyone have anything to plug or anything? Nothing to plug.
No.
Nope.
Nothing to plug.
Do you
Great.
have any plugs?
I don't got any plugs. The show. Continue watching the show. I am working on soon. This will be a good little thing to tease on here. The Girl Scout cookie video is being edited as we speak.
Ooh.
And so both of these people here are involved in the Great Girl Scout Cookie Taste Test, where we on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cade Thomas, where you're most likely watching this, but you could be watching it later as a podcast. We have taste tested all of the Girl Scout cookies from the 2 different bakeries here in the United States, and we decide which of the 2 is the greatest. And it should be it's an hour long. So
An hour?
it's an hour long.
Wow.
With my
Okay.
things, with our trip to
Yeah.
Kansas, I had other people
Oh, okay.
here.
The trip's in there
So
too.
there's the whole majority of the things
That
me
makes-
talking with Alex and Hannah and Joseph, and so but yeah, it's a lot. It's a fun
I'm
fun
excited.
video. Yeah, it's
Can't wait to
I'm
see it.
excited about it too. That was one of the most fun nights
uh-huh.
ever. I mean, think about it.
Just
What a
eating
great
cookies.
party to have. Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I
I
was
think
fine
it's
with
something
it.
we should do every year.
See if our opinions change.
Yeah. See if our taste changes.
Yeah,
Right. Whatever.
yeah, cool. Okay, well,
Or we could just go to the Cookie Mobster and buy a bunch of cookies and decide which ones we like the best.
True.
true.
We can just taste test good things. Like, doesn't have to be Girl Scout cookies.
that's true.
That's right. And what a great documentary. What a great story this woman has, too. The Cookie Mobster.
Are we talking about
Yeah.
our
Cookie
local?
Monster?
We'll have
Yes.
to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we could talk
Very
about it.
interested in that.
Great.
So tune in next week to find out about our local cookie stir.
Great. Well,
Cookiesta.
cookie stuff.
That's right.
Great. Well, I had a fun time. I'll see you all next
Me too.
week. And bye.